What is up, martial artists and martial arts fans alike? Coming at you with a 4th episode of Martial Mornings. How are y'all doing today? We're your hosts. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Vic. Again, another episode of Martial Mornings. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're going to be going over a few things going on in the world of MMA today. A few matchups that have gotten recently announced. So first off, we're going to look at The Ultimate Fighter 29 on ESPN now. Just got announced. Volkanovski and Ortega are going to be the coaches. The 145-pound championship matchup of Volkanovski, the Australian champion at 145, and Brian Ortega, perennial contender, I would say, because he's been in the top of the division for a little while now. Fought Max Holloway in a fight that I think he learned a lot in. They're going to be coaching 185-pound fighters and 135-pound fighters. So really excited to see the Ultimate Fighter come back.
Originally scheduled the Ngannou versus Stipe fight card and got canceled due to COVID protocols. So now we're getting this. A lot of people are disappointed because they'd rather get other TUF coaches rather than them. They feel they could get people with better personalities. Yeah, it's whatever. It's okay.
There was rumors of Masvidal versus Colby in the Ultimate Fighter. They were talking about Adesanya versus people like Paulo Costa and stuff like that if they were going to rematch at 185, which wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense as far as the rematch goes. So maybe they were hoping for a better fight. Maybe that would have made more sense. But yeah, so that's a pretty exciting thing that they got going on. They're going to see how that turns out, and hopefully it's an exciting season. The Ultimate Fighter has been slacking, honestly, the last couple of years. It's not what it used to be in the golden years, but hopefully this time around maybe that changes. You never know. This could be the year.
Yeah, Volkanovski released a video saying, "I'm very competitive. Watch out."
with his thick Australian accent. December 14th.
Exactly. When he became champ.
Exactly. So another thing we got going on is the new Venom deal. The new sponsorship.
The new uniforms.
Reebok is out. They're no longer going to be distributing the fight gear and the uniform for the UFC. It's going to be Venom now, an MMA brand, I guess you can say.
They've always been with the UFC, but now they're really partnered up with them, promoting
full on.
Yeah, on the shorts.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the look?
So I mean, the look, it's definitely different. Definitely way different from what Reebok style was. A little bit more on the Power Ranger side.
Yo, you stole dog. I wish I would have said it because it's exactly what's gonna come out of my mouth.
Very Power Ranger like. I mean,
it's exactly what
it's definitely different, man. Like very sharp lines, very it's
looks like they're trying to level up.
Yeah, it looks like they're in the middle of leveling up in the middle of the ring. I want to see what the championship gear looks like. I mean, we'll just wait and see. When the Reebok stuff came out, it was weird.
They showed Valentina Shevchenko in a trailer with the gear already.
Oh yeah,
so they already showed how it looks.
How did it look? I didn't get to see that one. I saw the regular colors.
It looks kind of the same. It's just black and it has the gold lining.
Right.
But basically, it's
very different lining though. I mean, it's interesting. So the fighters are supposed to get paid for every time that they go into the octagon and fight in the gear that the uniform is sponsored by. Before with Reebok, they actually got paid around, let's say for example, the champ got somewhere like 100,000 or something like that. Yeah, depending on how many fights in the UFC you have, it depended how much you got paid. So I think the most you were able to get paid was somewhere around the 40,000 range. Now it's 42. So a lot of people were talking about the fighter pay and how, it's supposed to be a new deal. It's supposed to be for the fighters, but they barely gave them a raise. And fighter pay has been topic of discussion, and that's why they talked about starting a fighters union and stuff like that. So I mean, the uniforms, okay, I give it a solid 6.2 out of 10 so far from what I've seen.
Yeah, nothing crazy. It's kind of the same way I felt when they released the UFC belt, the new one.
Yeah.
It just takes some getting used to, but whatever. It is what it is.
Very Transformer, Power Ranger-esque, what we're going for in the UFC apparently. But yeah, another announcement that got made was the UFC wants to make Ngannou versus Lewis 2. They want to make that rematch happen. That sleeper fight that I know we've talked about on the show before. Lewis and Ngannou, number one. It was a bad decision that ended up going to Derek Lewis. Very letdown fight. Everybody thought it was going to be just a huge slugfest of Godzilla versus King Kong style slugfest, and ended up being a snoozer. So
Ngannou was coming off the loss against Stipe, so that made him hesitant because he didn't win the championship belt. He got whooped. And then Lewis, God knows what. Apparently he said he was dealing with something before the fight.
Yeah.
Didn't do basically jack. And so now we'll see if they could pull it off in this rematch.
Both in different stages now in their career. So we'll see if that happens. And Ngannou says that it's a little too soon for him. They want to make it happen June 12th. He says it's a little too soon. So I guess we'll have to see and what happens and what the champ wants to do. We also got Gilbert Burns, title challenger at 170 pounds. Got announced that he's going to be fighting Wonderboy Thompson, another welterweight title fight contender.
I really like that one.
Yeah, really good fight, UFC 264, so they got a couple months to train for that one. Really good fight at 170. We got karate style versus pretty much brawler, jiu-jitsu, everything style with Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, Gilbert Burns is just a tough guy. He likes to come forward so aggressively that he doesn't mind if he hits the ground because his backup is jiu-jitsu. He's so well-rounded in it.
It's like second nature to him at this point.
Exactly. So he can be as wild as he wants in the striking.
Right.
And then Wonderboy is just clinical on the feet. The karate, technical in every way. I love watching him fight, so should be great.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see those styles clash, and hopefully they keep stacking up that card. It's shaping up to be a nice looking 262, so very nice. We also got Taito Ivasa versus Greg Hardy on that card, just got announced. Ooh. Heavyweight title fight literally just got announced just before we started recording.
Easily I got Ty on that one.
Taito Ivasa coming off the knockout win in that last fight night, that Kevin Holland fight night.
Greg Hardy in his last fight gassed out, no?
Yeah, he always gasses out.
They memed the hell out of him.
He needs his inhaler. Former NFL player Greg Hardy got in trouble a little bit, wasn't able to continue his NFL career, ended up finding his way to the UFC, and now he's fighting Taito Ivasa at 264 as well, so that's also on that card. Another fight got announced, Macy Barber versus Miranda Maverick. Who would have thought, huh?
That's the one that we had. Well, you had actually mentioned.
Who would have thought? UFC. Hey, hit my line. You know what I mean? Drop a comment, something. Let me know. I could matchmake over there. I know Usman made a case recently wanting to matchmake for 170 so he can line up his contenders. So I called this one. It's a really exciting fight. Macy Barber and Miranda Maverick, 225-pound women. Very aggressive. Very
perfect.
Young, raw, talented. Both of them. Very exciting, man. I mean, this is going to be a good one. Yeah. That one's going to be fire.
Macy needs it. If Maverick gets it done, it'll be a huge boost.
Macy coming off the layoff. Well, she fought Grasso off the layoff, no?
She had fought Grasso last year.
So Grasso was her first fight back?
Yes.
Grasso was her first fight back, so now this is going to be her second fight after coming off that really long layoff, that knee injury that she suffered against Roxanne Modafferi last year, I believe. So that's going to be a really exciting one. And last but not least, before we get into the card we're going to look at today is Cyborg versus Leslie Smith 2 at Bellator 259. So Chris Cyborg, not in the UFC anymore, over at Bellator, the new featherweight champion over there.
Got rocked by Nunez.
Got destroyed.
Sent off to Bellator.
She said, okay, I'm done with these people over here.
She had beef with Dana anyways.
Yeah, really so she's going to be fighting Leslie Smith. Actually was the woman that said, you know what? Fuck it. I'll fight Chris Cyborg in the UFC since nobody wanted to fight her back in the day. So she fought her at 140 pounds, catch weight. 145 pounds, something like that, and actually got whooped by Chris Cyborg. Back in the day was her first fight in the UFC, and after that didn't fight in the UFC for a really long time. So very renowned fight, very well-known fight. So we're gonna see what happens now. She's number 4 in Bellator's rankings.
We'll see if she's a new and improved version of her old self.
I guess we will. Both of them very old for in MMA years.
Yeah, that's true. Cyborg's been in the game for
so they got a lot of miles on them, and I guess we'll see what happens. But the reason we're all here, fight night on ABC, UFC, prime time, Marvin Vettori versus Kevin
Holland.
Woo! It's going to be a nice little card. I like the fights on this one.
So that one's exciting because Holland was able to get in there last minute due to Darren Till getting injured.
Yeah, unfortunately, Darren Till, he's had a lot of bad luck recently. A lot of his fights the last year or two have been canceled due to injury. I think a lot to look at there. He should go back to the drawing board and really try to figure out what exactly is going on there and decide if he needs to take some time off to get healthy and maybe get a surgery or two. Maybe that's what's going on because recently he's just been not having the best luck as far as that goes. But Kevin Holland steps in against Marvin Vettori, 185-pound fight. So let's work our way up the card.
Starting off with Mike Perry versus Daniel Rodriguez. Mike Perry's coming in at a plus 138 underdog. Daniel Rodriguez at a minus 167 favorite. And yeah, Mike Perry, everybody knows Mike Perry. I think in this fight, he may get outstruck, honestly, because Daniel Rodriguez is a slugger. Mike Perry, I think he may have taken too many beatings, and not only that, he's had a lot of external fights outside of the UFC. He even said in Instagram Live, he said he hasn't been taking fighting very seriously. His last win was against Mickey Gall in June 27th, 2020. And then Daniel Rodriguez is a monster. He was on a 9-fight win streak until he met Nicholas Dalby in 2020 of November. In the Dwight Grant fight, he showed good recovery. He's a 10th Planet BJJ guy. He can fight moving forward, fight moving backwards. And I really like that he's always using his jab. He actually showed a beautiful jab in the Gerald Green fight.
So to piggyback off of that, I mean, yeah, I saw Rodriguez has a nice aggressive style. He kind of just comes forward. Very risky, I would say. Eats a lot of shots. Got knocked down in that Grant fight, the way you talked about, showing good recovery. But, you know, he came back. He was resilient. He seems to be a guy that's very dangerous when he's hurt. So that's very dangerous. That's scary in the octagon. You know, you think you have a guy beat and then he just comes back at you with something really slick. A lot like OSP versus Menafield. Menafield thought he had OSP hurt and just got clocked and clipped. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Perry is another guy, like you said, had a lot of external fights outside of the UFC, outside of the cage, in his personal life, going through a lot of things. You know, his girlfriend's currently pregnant. He's had a lot of things that he posts on social media that people question a lot. You know, some run-ins with the law. So Mike Perry, a guy that, you know, a lot of people worry about, came into the UFC with a very good record. Now he's 14-7. So now becoming more of a journeyman. So you hate to see that because he's a guy that a lot of people saw potential in. So
they have put him against very high level competition. So that is something that you can say why his record is the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to go against high-level competition in the UFC, but it's going to be interesting to see. I think these guys are going to go in, they're going to throw, and they're going to slug. I don't think this fight makes it past round 1. I could see...
Can you call it round?
I really like Daniel Rodriguez. I think he's in a flow right now. I think he's hungry. I think he's a guy that wants his name to be known. This is his chance, fighting a guy like Mike Perry, who has a following, who a lot of people are recognizing and are going to want to watch. So this is a chance for Daniel to take a chance, and he's 13-2, very good fighter, shows that he knows how to recover, and he might get clipped a few times, but ultimately I think he comes out with the win here inside of 1 round, finishes Mike Perry with TKO.
All right, I'm going to say it goes to 2nd round. I'm going to say Daniel Rodriguez submits Mike Perry.
Oh,
I'm going to say Mike Perry comes out heavy, swinging, can't get the job done. Mike Rodriguez ends up rocking him. Mike Perry goes for a sprawl, and he gets a sub.
So you got a whole little scenario in your head. You see it.
I do.
If it happens, you heard it here first. Guy. You'll be from the future if that goes down. All right. So that's going to be a fun welterweight affair, 170 pounds. And we'll just have to see what happens. So next up, we got Nina the Strina Atsaroff, number 5, 115 pounds, women's division, versus Mackenzie Dern, number 11. The fight of the moms. Yeah. Nina Atsaroff.
She's coming in at a minus 139 favorite. Mackenzie Dern actually coming in at an underdog, minus 115.
Yeah, so Mackenzie Dern, the jiu-jitsu black belt, is the underdog in this one. Nina Atsaroff, coming off of 23-month layoff, right? She was pregnant, just had a baby recently.
Yeah, that's right. Her and Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, her partner, Amanda Nunes, the 135, 145-pound double champ in the women's division.
The one and only.
The one and only women's GOAT, as they say. Some people would argue is the greatest of all time in the women's division. So Mackenzie Dern had a baby a year or two ago as well.
Yeah, and she actually had a really fast comeback after that pregnancy also. So, well, I don't want to say also because Nina Atsaroff didn't. But.
Yeah, Nina took her time a little bit more than Mackenzie did, but both of them great on the ground. Like I said earlier, Mackenzie Dern's a black belt. Nina the Strina. I love her nickname. I think it's
Nina's
hilarious.
a purple belt, actually.
She's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, so these guys are going to probably... Well, these gals. Let me get that right. These gals are going to, probably go at it on the ground a little bit. I would say Mackenzie Dern likes to take it to the ground pretty early most of the time.
Yeah, she does.
When she doesn't think that she's a boxer, which has happened one time or two in some fights where she likes to stand up for whatever reason.
So I have to say that Mackenzie Dern, her grappling, it's not more of a positional grappling. It's more of a scrambles. She'll be in the bottom a lot.
She catches you though.
Yes,
she
exactly.
Catches you in a position.
She's more she catches you in a scramble.
She'll pick something up out of nowhere. But yeah, I mean, Dern's coming off a 3-fight win streak. She's coming off a unanimous decision win and then 2 submissions before that. So
her only loss was to Ribas, actually.
Yeah, she lost to Amanda Ribas, UFC Tampa, if I'm not mistaken, right?
2019, yeah.
2019 was her last loss. So it's been almost 2 years now since her last loss. So she's riding.
It was in December.
No, I mean, so that we'll go with like a year and change,
Yeah.
year and change since her last loss. So she's riding a high, which is, you know, she's hot right now, fighting someone in the top 5. I think there's a big chance for Dern to make a splash into the top 5. After this, she can call her shot at somebody inside the top 5 and possibly make her way up to the title shot pretty soon, sooner rather than later, if she can pull off the win here against Nina Asarov.
Right, so matchup wise, I would say Nina Asarov would have to keep this fight standing. I have seen her getting taken down in previous fights. Mackenzie Dern, she doesn't have the best of takedowns, but once it does get to the ground, she's insanely dangerous. So something to watch out for. She does get sloppy with her hands sometimes, but if I had to call a prediction on this one, I'm gonna go with Dern just because she's pulled it off so many times in the UFC, and the UFC has set her up pretty well, I feel.
Yeah, she definitely has been set up. I mean, she has a path to the title in front of her right now, at least a starting point, a stepping stone, if you will. No disrespect to Nina. I mean, she's not a walk in the park. So she's going to bring her A game. She's been training for a little bit. She took her time to get back. So
has some of the best coaches in the world.
Most definitely. Trains at ATT, American Top Team down here in Florida. So we'll just see what's going on. And I can see Mackenzie Dern finding a submission in the second round.
Next, we got Sam Alvey coming in at a plus 160 underdog, and Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez.
There you go.
Coming in at a minus 200 favorite.
Talk about a nickname right there.
Insane.
So Sam Alvey, 33-14 with 1 no contest, and Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis, at 8-2 professionally.
What a record on Sam Alvey.
I mean, wow. He's been around. He's been around for a little while. He's an active guy. He's coming down to 185, right?
Yeah, he's had an unsuccessful streak at light heavyweight on a 4-fight losing streak.
4-fight losing streak for Sam Alvey. Marquez is a power puncher. So Dana Tuesday Night Contender Series guy.
The crazy head kick knockout.
Most definitely. I loved that knockout. I was an instant fan after that knockout. If you don't know what we're talking about, Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez. You could YouTube any portion of that, and I'm sure you'll find it. Very nice knockout to earn his contract in the UFC. I actually took some time away from the UFC, came back recently, and now trying to stay active here with this fight. So it's looking good.
So what I have to say about Sam Alvey is that in light heavyweight, his last losses have been 2 TKOs and 2 decision losses. So he hasn't looked the best. He also said in an interview that he's going down to middleweight because apparently the judges don't like the smaller guy at light heavyweight, which I think is a really dumb excuse. But regardless, if that's his reasoning, then Julian Marquez is no small guy. He's a huge middleweight.
Agreed.
He's big, he's strong, he has a great chin. The only downside that I do have to say about Julian Marquez is that he does tend to get sloppy at times.
Right.
But that does happen in almost every fighter. And he is 30, so I feel if there's a time to ripen up, it's going to be now. And he's a problem. He's definitely not someone to look over. But you do have to give Sam Alvey the experience factor. But other than that, if I had to pick somebody, I'm going to ride with Julian Marquez on this one. By knockout. First round.
First round?
First round.
Wow. I mean, I can't disagree with that. I'm going to take Julian Marquez. You know, I'll say in the first round, too. I was thinking inside 2, but I'll take it inside 1.
And now we're heading into the co-main event. We got Arnold Almighty Allen, ranked at number 10, 16-1, plus 115 underdog. And then we got Super Sadiq Youssef, ranked at number 11, minus 139 favorite.
Yeah, he's looking great. I mean, this one's going to be a banger at 145 pounds. I mean, Sadiq Youssef is a big guy, especially for the weight class. He's got huge power in his hands. He's going to bring a really good fight to Arnold Allen, who's been going up against really nice veterans. He's fought Gilbert Melendez and Nick Lentz lately, who are both some really good guys that have fought at 155 and 145 respectively. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, Arnold Allen has fought in Cage Warriors. He showed out in that. He's known to be very elusive. I think he has really good wrestling. He can be very hard to hit because he has good footwork.
Right.
And I've also noticed in his fights that he has a really good defense. He trains at a TriStar gym. I mean, I think he looks really good. He's a great fighter.
He's got good coaching.
He only has 1 loss, and so does Sadiq Youssef, which I think is a great matchup.
I mean, yeah, these guys are combined 27-2. So both these guys, very skilled guys, most definitely. Sadiq Youssef, a guy representing Nigeria. You know, Nigeria's been popping for the last couple years with guys like you got Israel Adesanya, the 185-pound champ, 170-pound champ, and Kamaru Usman, Kennedy, and Njoku, who's been mentioned on the podcast before. And, you know, guys like that. So this one, another guy coming up. Like you mentioned, Arnold Allen, he's a guy that's fought out of Cage Warriors. For some people that might not know, Cage Warriors is kind of like the UFC, but in the UK. So kind of something that is to be noted. It's where Conor McGregor's come from. You know, many other guys that have come from the UFC and been successful fought at Cage Warriors first. So this one's going to be interesting to see. I could see this one going to a decision. These guys seem like they're both going to either test each other and take it all the way to the end of the third round, or I can see Sadiq Youssef ending it with a devastating knockout.
Right. Since they're both ranked so closely to each other, this is huge for both guys.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a detrimental fight for the division.
In the UFC, they're both undefeated, actually, so somebody's going to lose in the UFC.
Yeah, somebody's always got to go in this one.
And yeah, I like Youssef. He shows improvement fast. He showed improvement in between Gabriel Benitez and then Andre Fili fight. And they're both, actually, I have to mention this, they're both coming off a 15-month layoff. But yeah, so in this fight, who do you pick?
I'm going to take Sadiq Youssef by decision.
You're going to rock with Youssef?
I'm going to rock with Youssef by decision. I think he's going to piece up Arnold Allen. I think he's going to take him to the deep waters. And I think he's going to outstrike him.
All right, I'm going to ride with Arnold Allen on this one.
How do you see him taking it?
I can see it going to a decision because, like you said, they're both so durable, and I feel like this is a great test for both guys. So they could be on each other's level, and I can see it going to decision on this one. Sadiq, like you said, definitely has the power to end it, but I think Arnold Allen is just too hard to hit.
Fair enough. Sounds good.
Main event time.
The big man making his second appearance on Martial Mornings as far as breakdowns go and upcoming fights.
Kevin, Trailblazer Holland.
Big mouth. Been making noise. Steps in again, 10 days notice. Takes the main event fight against the Italian contender at 185 pounds. Marvin Vettori, number 6 in the rankings. At 185, Kevin Holland also in the top 10. He is number 10. The gatekeeper, if you will, holding down the 10-man team in the top of the middleweight division. I mean, he's crazy.
So Kevin Holland is coming off a quick-ass turnaround.
Super quick turnaround.
He literally just fought
against 5 rounds.
Brunson. 5 rounds. And I was honestly surprised that the UFC allowed it to happen because I was like, no, they're not going to allow it.
Because of medical suspensions
exactly.
and whatnot. For people that don't know, most of the times when these fighters do these events and they participate in fights, depending on how much they get hurt and the damage that they take, they'll actually get medically suspended for an X amount of time. If fighters don't get touched that much, it'll be a week or 2.
Concussions, obviously, it'll be 3
it'll
months.
be a couple months. So you're expecting a guy that got hit as much as Kevin Holland the couple weeks ago that he fought to
take some time off.
You know,
he's coming back immediately.
But he got medically cleared. He's been COVID testing and he took the fight.
And it's crazy because you would expect that off a loss, it would push him back and make him fight, you know, somebody not Vettori.
Right, but
that's ranked number 6.
When you step up in situations like this, you know,
you get benefits.
You
right.
keep your top spot. So there's a chance for Kevin Holland to make a quick turnaround.
Right.
This is something that fighters like Michael Bisping did at the end of his career when he lost his belt against George St. Pierre at 185 pounds. Michael Bisping, the former middleweight champion, you know, now retired, but he lost his belt against George St. Pierre. Then he went on to take on a fight on like a week's or 2 notice right afterwards to fight
Kelvin
Gastelum, exactly, and ended up getting knocked out and taking 2 losses in a row. So it's a chance to make a quick turnaround, and people will quickly forget about that.
Yeah, it's a good way to erase your last loss.
Most definitely. Or it could be, you know, a double whammy. You could take 2 losses in a row. So it's going to be interesting to see what he ends up doing and how he gets it done against a guy like Marvin Vettori.
Yeah, so I clearly can see a victory for Marvin Vettori. If he wants to take him down, he can do the same thing that Derek Brunson did to him. But if he decides he wants to stand with him, then I do not think that is the smart thing to do. And I can see Kevin Holland actually pulling it off because Kevin Holland he can rock that right hand. Throws it down the middle so nicely. No telegraph, right from where it is. And we saw him knock out Buckley with it. And he's a monster, so...
I mean, we know you're a Holland fanatic, so...
And I'm not the biggest Vettori fan, so...
No, you're not. Because of Adesanya and many other reasons.
No, because I just don't like his personality.
He's too much of a hothead for you?
Exactly.
Well, there you go. He's Italian. Whatever. They got tempers.
It is what it is. But anyways, in this one... Like I said, if Vettori wants to take him down, he's going to get the dub. If he decides to stand with him, I'm going to go with Holland getting the dub.
I mean, Vettori's a guy that likes to stand, though. You know what I mean? I mean, Vettori in his last fight against Hermansson, he came in for Till. Till, another, you know, like in this fight actually, came off, got taken out of the fight because of an injury and stepped in against Hermansson and actually ended up winning against Hermansson and breaking the record for the most significant strikes landed in a middleweight fight against Hermansson. So that says a lot to me, and that shows that I think Vettori likes to stand. He likes to make those strikes count. He likes to kickbox, and you know, I think this has a potential to be a pretty exciting freaking fight, and it could go the distance and be a fight of the night for sure.
I think he stood with him because Jack Hermansson is a monster on the ground.
I mean, he's a black belt on the ground. Hermansson is Jack Hermansson, and he's a great fighter. He likes to get that guillotine choke, but I mean, I think Vettori is a striker though at heart. He likes to strike, I think. So I think he's gonna stand up with Kevin. I think it's gonna be a fun fight for Holland and him to go at it for a little bit, and I think depending on who gets hurt and how quick they do get hurt is gonna depend on how quickly we see this fight get to the ground.
Sounds good.
So I'm gonna say Kevin Holland comes back. He's gonna get a comeback win. I don't think Vettori's faced the level of opponents that Kevin Holland has faced and beaten. So he's only faced Hermansson, which isn't a walk in the park. He's no cakewalk at all. He's a very great fighter at 185 pounds, very dangerous at that weight class. And I think Kevin Trailblazer is going to find a way to get Marvin Vettori. He's going to piece him up. I think he finishes him inside 3 rounds.
What?
Yep.
Are you serious?
Yep.
That is not what I was expecting.
I see Kevin Holland finishing Marvin Vettori, coming back from his loss against Brunson and saying, Brunson, run it back. Let's do it again. Let me show you what I'm really about. Or he's going to be bothering Stylebender in his DMs some more.
I love that. All right. Is that a wrap?
I think that's a wrap. That's number 4.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Appreciate you.
Got any questions? Leave them down there. Catch you next time. Peace. Catch you next time. Peace. Catch you next time. Peace. Catch you next time.